Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here with Rise of the Multidimensional Human. Welcome to today's lunchtime chats. I'm going to go ahead and pause for a moment and give everybody some time to join the party here. For those of you who are new and listening to this recording, my name is Christina. I am the acceleration expert. And we are here to discuss topics and issues that are relevant for starseeds, way showers, new paradigm visionaries in our everyday lives, in our everyday world. As you guys know, we have different awarenesses, different perceptions. Many of us are highly sensitive to energies, which means we need to navigate the world differently than the average Joe. So we're here to talk about those issues. And my goal, my aim here is to share a liberated perspective on these topics and issues that are, that we find really challenging in our lives. So welcome everybody. Welcome to the lunchtime chats. All right. So the topics we're here to talk about are, these topics are all a little bit off the cuff because I really was not so inspired until earlier today when I got some messages from some dear starshines. So this is what we came up with. First thing, when is standing up for your truth worth the fight? Now, this is a really hot topic right now because due to collective manipulation and media censorship and all this stuff, there's a frame up going on within humanity right now, and people who consider themselves perhaps truth tellers are really not being well received. There's a lot of backlash and attacking that's going on by simply sharing certain things that perhaps are against the narrative. So I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to talk about 4D zombies. Yes, they do exist, don't they? We're discovering it now, aren't we? So I'm going to talk about how to keep yourself from being eaten alive. Ha, 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 ha. That's me being snarky right there. And boy, there's a lot of snark to be had right now, I have to say. All right, and then I'm going to be talking more about what it means to be stepping into consciousness streams. For those of you who were a part of the conversation last week, we talked a lot about stepping into consciousness streams and recognizing that there's a potential to be swept away with these consciousness streams if you are not really well anchored within yourself. So I'm excited to be here with you guys to talk about that. Hello. All right. So, dear Starshine, who else? All right. So, Neo-bound Spirit, hello, darling. Or I said that totally backwards. Yes, I'm a little dyslexic. But welcome. So glad to hear you. All right. Okay. So let me go ahead and start doing the activation portion of the talk. Let's see, we want purple because that will be nice and dark. Hopefully everything, the sound and the video is coming through clearly. You guys let me know if there's any problems. Okay, so I know I've been talking a lot about 4D manipulation, but this is really a hot topic for all of us all through 2020 and 2021. This is going to be a major thing for us to sift through and work through, because where we are at in our individual resonance is, for a lot of us, we're falling out of the collective resonance, and we're feeling lonely. We're feeling, perhaps very isolated, and there's not many people that we can connect with and bond with. Okay, so there's a lot going on with that, and there's so much that this topic just keeps going because it is so vast. So let me first anchor in the energy here. Hello, darlings. I'm not getting any messages on the I'm not getting any messages on the StreamYard. I'm not sure what's going on. If you guys are messaging and I'm not getting it, maybe someone can give me a text and let me know. Because right now it says 0, and I know that's not true because there's a few people that have texted me. I can, there's some text coming through. Hello. All right, so I'll anchor the energy and then I'll check back in to see if the computer stuff updates. So this model that I use to activate new thought, epiphanies, and new perspective is a model that I was taught and trained in, here, let me get a different marker. I don't like this one. By a profound teacher, Cherokee record keeper by the name of Barbara Hand Clow. Now, she influenced an entire generation, several generations actually, of light workers with her stellar work that she did in astrology and in past life regressions and of course this work. So how this came about and is she was trained by her Cherokee grandfather, and also her grandmother was also of the Celtic tradition. So she was mixed, but she was trained starting as a young child, and because of that training, she never shut down her multidimensional perceptions and awarenesses, which served her later in life when she had a spontaneous awakening to another aspect of who she was, like another aspect of her soul being, simultaneously incarnating in the stars, in the planet in the Pleiadian star system. Okay, this was a profound revelation, and what came through, how she was able to flesh this out and share it with the world, was a book called The Pleiadian Agenda. And that whole book was all about introducing humanity to a new cosmology, a new relationship to their history, but also the cosmos. And you might seem, at first glance, you might think like, oh, well, that's just way out there. But really, by opening our eyes to these different stories that part of her being named Satya had to share, it was opening, in my experience anyway, it was opening things up inside of me. So by her sharing the energy, the consciousness stream of the Pleiadian consciousness known as Satya, that opened me up to my own kind of consciousness stream, which extended far more than just the Pleiades, but the Pleiadians were the gateway for me with all that. So what she continued to flush out from that book was the lenses of the 9 dimensions, which is 9 lenses of perception, okay, that all humans have, that allow us to wake up to who we really are. So we can have a moment of enlightenment, let's say, of awakening within our biosuit in the here and now kind of moment. And she continued to flesh out what these lenses were about, and she did a lot of research collecting the different science that validated the existence of these dimensions, these lenses, and also worked with activating groups around the world, doing 9-dimensional activations just to keep working it out. So I was in one of those groups that gathered in Lilydale. Every summer in August, we would gather in this community of psychic intuitives that was a gated community to this day, that was founded during the Victorian era. And so the fields there were very open and fluid, and it allowed for this kind of activation and opening to happen. So because it was cultivated, the fairies, the different realms within realms within realms were, the bridges were built and activated, and there was many different kinds of consciousness that converged in that spot, still does to this day. So for about 10 years, I went there every summer to do these activations with her. And one of her caveats was if this is something that is truly moving you and serving you in some way, you need to share it. You need to do your own activations within your own community. You need to share it as much as you can. So, and with that, you're doing your part in awakening humanity. So this model here is free for everybody who has the eyes to see and the heart to listen and perceive and connect with these pieces. And if you want to dive deeper into this work, she has a website called Handclow 2012, where she puts in little models on how to do your own little activations, ceremonies and stuff like this. So if this is something that's really resonating for you, I encourage you to check that out. Because as we know, our collective right now is in massive turmoil, and we need others to resonate with. We need others that can match our frequency in the collective. We are not meant to be isolated. We're not islands. We are meant to be, in connection and in community, because our true nature is interconnectedness. Okay, and even though this collective nightmare that's going on is way too chaotic for many of us to even step into, where it's like we're not even interested, we just deal with what we have to, right? They too, their existence and how they're behaving, right? We want to keep them separate, but they're not. They're still a part of who we are. They're still part of us because of that interconnected nature. Okay, and with that interconnected nature comes actions and things that you can do to assist in cultivating the connections that you need, the community that you need for you to thrive and to create the reality that you want. Okay, so the very baseline of our existence here on this planet is the consciousness, the heart and mind of the Pachamama, Mother Earth, the one who is doing the dreaming that we are all submerged in. Okay, so that is, if you want to need a location for it, that is the core of the Earth. Within that core is a massive iron crystal. And there's science behind that, finding out, and there's science validating that as being so. In the research that Barbara has done, she found that there was a whole society of I can't remember the name of the kind of scientists, but they track earthquakes and stuff like this. They actually set up monitors and buoys all around the planet to monitor the earthquake activity. And when we had the really big earthquake back in 97, I think it was, the readings that came from that actually, the earthquake happened on one side of the planet, but the shock wave of that earthquake actually went through the planet, and they were picking up readings on the opposite side of the planet that they finally were able to calculate were the shock waves from this really big one over here. So in the monitoring and analysis of all that data of that shockwave passing through the planet, they were able to deduce that the center core, the very center of the Earth, is highly dense, and it's actually an iron crystal. And with going a leap further with Barbara's theory, she theorized that is actually the consciousness of the Earth. And this also follows along with many indigenous teachings. And many of us who have done earth work and different initiations, we know absolutely, right, that the Pachamama is a living, breathing being. And when we look into the core of the planet, we actually sense that field, that consciousness. So outside of your body, it's the core of the Earth. Inside of your body, it is the baseline thread of you being here. It's okay. So that baseline thread of you being here is a frequency that that the lens is located in the perineum. So if you just start breathing into the perineum or doing Kegels or pulsing the perineum and start activating that, you'll notice that your biosuit will actually shift. You'll actually get a sensorial shift within yourself. You'll start, you start maybe taking deeper breaths. Your nervous system will respond. Other things start to happen. And then as you stimulate that area, the electricity that's up here and through here starts to sync and shift, and your parasympathetic nervous response starts coming more online. Okay, so there's a lot of advantages to us engaging in that lens for our biosuit, because really it's our soul yes to be here with the Pachamama that gave us this biosuit. Okay, so we said yes, we were wherever we were, whatever state of being we were, and somehow our consciousness connected with with the Pachamama, with Mother Earth. We said yes, and in that we were gifted a biosuit. We were gifted this intricate vessel to have our experiences in the 3D plane. So it's this vessel, it's specifically this vessel and our perceptions that are creating the experience of that 3D. It's creating the experience of separation. It's creating the experience of space between me and you, space between me and the mountains. It's our biosuit that is creating, those perceptions are creating that kind of experience. So our biosuit is a highly, highly sophisticated form with many nesting dolls of systems within each other. Just like how our reality is, many nesting dolls coming together to create our here and now moment. So there's a beautiful study done by an artist named Alex Gray called Sacred Mirrors. And he broke down all these different layers and systems of the biosuit, starting with the molecular level, going to the, to the different systems like the nervous system, the endocrine system, the lymphatic system, the muscles, the integumentary system, you know what I mean? Like each very like anatomically correct paintings of each of these systems, breaking it down like that. So if you really wanted to tune yourself into the telluric intelligence of the biosuit, you can check his workouts. It's called Sacred Mirrors, Alex Gray, and that will help you tune in even more deeply into those systems of your biosuit. Now, even though science separates those systems, they're not actually separated. They are completely integrated. So something that's happening in your biosuit that is, happening inside of the organ also impacts the lymphatic system, also impacts the nervous system, also impacts your energetic and meridian system, okay? So everything is very integrated, even though you can discern nesting dolls to this. And it's so also below the crust of the earth. Everything below the crust of the earth, the telluric realm, has many realities within it, many systems within systems within systems within it. And when you have the right combination of systems, when you pass through the right combination of systems, you will have access to certain alternate spaces, alternate realities within the telluric realm, such as when we talk about Agartha. You need to be at the right frequency to actually be able to have contact with the consciousness that is within the beings that are within the city of Agartha. We also have crystal cities. We also have underground rivers. I mean, there's an entire universe under the crust of the earth that is contained within the telluric realm. But it's just not a matter of digging a great big hole in the dirt and getting to the city. It doesn't work that way because it's also consciousness, right? So you have to be passing through certain nesting dolls of consciousness, and there's keepers of each of these nesting dolls that allow you to the next stage. So you really need to be working with other beings. You need to be in connection with other kinds of consciousness in order to have access to these alternate realities that are within the earth. Same thing with the biosuit. You have to pass through certain thresholds within yourself to have access to certain kinds of intelligence within your biosuit. And part of the work that we do in Lightbody is sinking into the biosuit and passing through these different veils within in a particular, in the combination that needs to happen in order for you to access certain intelligence. So you have all of the consciousness stream of your ancestors that you can access by deepening your awareness in your biosuit in a certain way. You can also sink into the biosuit and have access to the stellar networks. You can, actually talk to ETs and other places in the galaxy by focusing your inner awareness and passing through these certain thresholds. So this is really important for us to open ourselves up to and recognize, because the cosmos that we see out here and the stories that we have for the cosmos absolutely influences our ability to connect in here. Okay, so as we clean up our connection in here, the external stories clean up, and our connection out here becomes even more clear, until one day we're staring up at the Milky Way galaxy in awe, recognizing yourself in the stars. You see? So no one can tell you that. You have to actually get there with your consciousness for that to be the truth. Okay. I mean, so maybe you've had people tell you that, but it's like, oh yeah, that's nice. But then it becomes an idea. It actually doesn't become a living reality. And once it becomes a living reality within your being, then the game changes big time in this 3D world, and what you choose to focus on and how you engage with things that are outside of yourself, that are perceived to be outside of yourself. All right, so we have our 3D plane, that's the horizon. Then we have this interesting canopy. This is the 4D. This is the collective consciousness. Some people call it the collective unconscious or subconscious. I'm saying it's all the above. It's all of the unseen. It's the energy of thoughts, emotions, belief systems. It's consciousness streams of these upper realms. And these lines that come up here, these are consciousness streams of different realms. So there's actually a consciousness stream that comes through our collective field that is the truth of our soul, that akashic knowledge, those records. And then you also have another kind of consciousness stream, which is the geometry behind form, which is the 6D. You're in a person, in case of a human, it's your light body. Okay, and if you're a cow, it's the light body of what a cow is, the blueprint. It's the energetic blueprint of what a cow is, and so on and so forth. It just keeps going. So everything that has form in this 3D reality has a map to its creation in this consciousness stream. And then we have the soul song, the stellar networks, frequency, the reality that frequency is behind everything that is. So no matter what you see around you, we're creating devices that actually give you the frequency signature of what all these things are. And what I'm saying here is that these things would not have a 3D form if it did, right, without it having first a frequency. Everything's a frequency before it comes down into any other kind of reality. And then we have our 8D, which is the oneness consciousness. This is what a lot of us are referring to when we talk about God. Most religions, when they're talking about God, they're talking about constructs within here. They're not actually talking about that oneness. And the reason why is because in those teachings, there's dogma in there that you could be forsaken by God because you're a sinner. You can be not loved by God because whatever. There's a whole spectrum of dogma there, but really this is a fabric that is within through everything. There's nothing that is not part of the interconnectedness of this 8D. So this is that interconnectedness feeling that we have as humans. This is that webbing that is connecting us. Okay. It's unconditional. It does not matter what quality of a human or what quality of a being you are woven into that web. You are part of that, all that is consciousness. And then you have the center of the Milky Way, the mother of God, the Madre de Dios. So, and I'm drawing it this way because we need to really get clear about this 4D relationship, because right now it's causing us a lot of stress. It's causing us a lot of ways of disconnecting from the world. And you know what I mean? In a lot of ways, we're also re-experiencing trauma dramas. So we need to look at this in a way where we can recognize where our empowerment is in these dynamics. And all of these things are nesting dolls, remember. So we have our 9D, 8D, 7D, okay, all of these dimensions, lenses, or whatever are nesting dolls that impact and formulate our here and now moment. Our here and now moment isn't just a product of a soul imbuing a body. You know what I mean? It's much more refined than that. It starts off out here as an intent on a galactic level, and then in here, the intent of the frequency of the all that is level, and then from that all that is level come all the frequencies that are thoughts, ideas, intents, intentions, whatever. And then those frequencies, sound frequencies, let's say, are formulating the next nesting doll, which is the blueprint of your consciousness through the Milky Way galaxy, your light body. And that light body informs the next nesting doll, which is the Akasha, the records of your soul's journey through the Milky Way galaxy and beyond. And inside that nesting doll is this 4D field, which is collective belief systems and thought forms and stuff like this. And then you have another nesting doll and another nesting doll, another nesting doll. And the life force energy permeates from the outside in and from the inside out. That's how this works. These nesting dolls work. So if you want to change something in the 4D field, okay, when you're stepping into the polarized 4D field, right, wrong, good, bad, blah, 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 you're only looking at one side of the picture. And when you're engaging, you're either on one side or another side. There's an opposition going on. And what I'm telling you here is that opposition did not start in the 4D field. That opposition started on one of these other levels out here. And when you're engaging in the 4D field, it's a fight, right? It's so highly charged with emotions and thoughts and beliefs. Everybody's talking, but nobody's listening kind of dynamic. You're just by stepping into it on that level, you're stepping into the pattern of disempowerment. So the way to work this, once you can get to that, really recognize that these other outer nesting dolls are creating the dynamic that's happening right here, you can start addressing things on these other levels. Only thing is, you cannot have emotional attachment to being right or wrong, because right or wrong is what's here. It's not what's out here. When you go into the Akasha and you look at the soul's journey, you look at pain, you look at trauma, you look at contracts, you look at constructs. And when you're undoing the construct, or when you're, taking your energy out of an agreement, you're not highly charged with how wrong it was or anything like this. You're actually awake to realizing this was an entanglement within the soul's journey. And you have a choice in this moment to wake yourself up out of it. Okay? Because it's not as dense. That intense emotional charge, the identity of who you think you are that makes you attached to a story isn't there. Instead, you're recognizing that dynamic that you're unraveling is one of a million faces that you've worn throughout your soul's journey. When you recognize that, then you're not so attached to these identities and these stories. And you can recognize that you're just an actor in a play. It's not who you really are. Okay? And when we can address the trauma dramas of our past and our soul's journey like that, then we have a lot of power to unravel and undo things that are creating things in this here and now with that 4D, 3D interaction. Okay. All right, let me stop and say hi to folks, because it looks like my page refreshed. So I'm not alone after all. Yay. All right, darlings. Hello. Moving on. I actually made time today. And my questions are very good. This is Dear Spirit Bound Neo saying this. Okay, I'm struggling with a lot of different aspects, and I know I cannot be the only one. Oh, absolutely not. Hello, dear Facebook user. Hey, Hodai, how you doing? So glad to catch you too. Hi, Nancy. How you doing, darling? Hi, Joanne. Neobound says, no need to address my previous comments. I was just BSing. Oh, okay. I think the 4D zombies are multiplying. Isn't that the truth? Yes. Let me dive into that, because this is something that hopefully I can help you bring some peace and empowerment into your world here. Dear Spirit Bound Neo says, it's all good. I'll also answer the hey you. This is my offensive content account, so I use an old moniker. Oh, okay. I might switch it right now. Okay, cool. All right. Hello. I've done the StreamYard. Okay. Whoops. Yay, catching you. Oh, Tasha, I didn't mean to hit that, but look at that. It came up on the screen. How cool. All right. Happy to be here. Hello, darlings. Okay, so everybody's just saying hi. Hi, Tammy, darling. All right. Happy stellum. Is this the Aquarius stellum that you're talking about, Joanne? Yeah, there is an interesting stellum going on. All right. So here, let me circle back. So I lost my little topics here. So, these topics are a little bit more off the cuff, because I just kind of came to them with the communications that I had this morning with some folks in the group. So hold on, let me get to them so I can make sure I'm covering it all the way like I said I would. Okay. When is the truth? All right. When is it worth standing up to be right? Okay. So the 4D field does require action on our behalf. There's being all kumbaya on a mountain separated from everything does not do anything. We are the homemakers experiencing these other levels of existence, and our perceptions we're becoming multidimensional and sovereign in so many ways. There's a reason why the homemakers, the ones that are living in everyday society, is waking up to these levels. It's because we need, due to our interconnectedness, to find a way for this kind of consciousness to exist in the collective, right? In the past, if you said anything too crazy, people would quite literally turn into somebody else. They would freak out. They would pass out. We experienced this in Lilydale when we did this work with Barbara. It took 3 days to activate a group of people to the 9 dimensions in a way that wasn't too traumatic. I still had life blow-ups. Every time I came home, there was always some kind of craziness that happened. So it wasn't totally graceful, but she did her best. And in the first night, which is you would come in Friday night and we would start going over the dimensions and the different, activating these different thought streams, we would have to have healers stand in the back of the room. Now, mind you, we're in Lilydale, New York, where the veils were already very thin anyway, but we would have to have healers in the back of the room to receive people, to clear out the blocks that were happening so they can stay conscious for the conversation. Okay, so remember, this is how deep those 4D zombies are embedded, okay? And a lot of it is not even in their control. They don't even recognize that they're doing it. They don't even know. They just know that they are in suffering and they have this thought form and this belief and they're sticking to it no matter what. That's the length of, how their reflection is, because they really believe the programmings that are forming their reality to be like this. Now, it's becoming more and more apparent to people about the controlled information and the censorship and all this stuff, but there's still many people that are complacent. Their lives are way too, they're full of stress, and that has their attention. They're completely drained from stress, so they don't even have the energy to do anything about this other stuff, right? So do exercise, if you can, find some compassion for those folks. And remember that they're not just in their individual state, they're in a consciousness stream. So most people are reliving the energy patterns that they've inherited from their ancestors, okay? They're inheriting the stories from their mom, the stories of their dad, the stories of their grandparents. And those stories are informing them on a subconscious level, and they're recreating those stories in their here and now life, okay? Now, the more you wake up to that, the more you can bring love and forgiveness and compassion for your family and for your ancestry and do some massive clearing healing, right? But until you wake up to that kind of engagement, you are living the life that was given to you. Yeah, you guys can feel what I mean by that? So when you are in a place where, for standing up in your truth, and maybe there's a tipping point, like, where am I at, Becky, pretty much at the collective is so highly charged now, pretty much anywhere where you are speaking your truth, there is going to be a backlash. There is going to be attack. And I'm going to say without exception, because every community is cracked up and divided, even like the Sasquatch community, right? So we did a Sasquatch gathering last year and we were in the woods. Everybody, was like, COVID, what? That wasn't even in our consciousness. We were just doing what we do. And it was beautiful and it was a great connection. But there were a lot of people who didn't come because, they're caught up in the world of, the fear stuff and the protocols and all that stuff, that had some really hostile responses to the group that got together there getting together. And there was all kinds of pictures and stuff like this, and no one was socially distanced. Nobody was wearing a mask. So even that kind of group has been severely fractured because of this, the stories and what some people choose to buy into and believe and what others do not, So there is no middle ground. There's no compromise in a lot of these places. Some of us have successfully created bridges, but not as many as, that would actually unify the group back together again. Okay. So when things are super high, or when they're supercharged, we as empaths, as sensitives, need to use our gifts to our advantage, in that we can feel out the situation and sense with our being what kind of backlash will saying this truth have. And if you still choose to do it, prepare yourself for it. Okay, prepare yourself for the backlash. Okay, manipulation works because it uses emotional charge for something that is really part of someone's reality, right? It's a strong emotional charge. And then they're giving a story that is a lie, telling them why they're emotionally charged. And now they're going to aim their anger, their blame and all that stuff in the direction that they're told who's responsible, whether it's the truth or not. Okay. And by telling them that that group is not responsible, or who are to blame them isn't right, is not, they can't hear that. Instead, they're receiving what you're saying as you telling them that their experience isn't real. It's you telling them that their emotions and the things that they believe in are lies. Okay. Yeah, you can see how, no, that's not going to be received. So you're going to get the battle. You're going to get the battle warrior within them, and they're going to go at it, depending on where their principles are. Some people, they're going to attack full on because they can, because they feel justified, because blah, 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 whatever the story is. And they're not actually able to connect with anything that you're trying to say. They can't even recognize that you're doing this out of compassion. Right? So at that point, you stepped into a consciousness stream that has already been engineered, okay, to create battle and violence within people, within connections. Now, the battle and the violence is already happening inside. They're just unleashing it upon the situation. And if you happen to be there in that situation, that's what you're doing. Now, how do you take this up to another level? How do you take this up to these kinds of levels, right? All right, so this is where you need to be responsible for your thoughts, actions, and words. So there's this collective drama. There's this medical tyranny going on. There's this censorship game going on. There's all sorts of oppression and violence happening from the system on people. And a lot of people are waking up to its lies. But, that system didn't start in this 4D field. This system started out here. Okay, so the control systems that we're facing, and all right, now I'm going to start getting into more stellar reality kind of stuff. The systems that are getting implemented in our here and now reality actually started and have been cultivated over many hundreds of thousands of years in other planets and other star systems, and it came here. Okay, so knowing that will help you understand how refined, specialized, and sophisticated these control systems are. They are masters at manipulating consciousness to create the illusion of choice. So people actually think that they want what they're asking for. This is why that problem, reaction, response works so well. Okay, because there's a problem that's created, people are outraged, and in their emotional outrage, they say, we have the perfect solution, but you won't have certain rights anymore. It'll look like it's a spontaneous, this is what we came up with to solve the problem, but what people don't realize is that it was all planned ahead of time. The problem was planned ahead of time. The level of outrage was, they're banking on that, and then so they can give their solution. This is a system that has been developed over a very long period of time. Many of us are waking out of that. And just knowing that gives you the doorway into the secret of how to unravel that, your aspects, your part of that, okay? Because we are creating the reality with our subconscious mind as well as our conscious mind. 10% our conscious mind, 90% our subconscious mind. And what is going on in our subconscious mind? What is all that? Well, that's all these outer nesting dolls. That's the stuff that's happened in your soul's journey. That's the stuff that's in your blueprint. That's the stuff in your soul song. All of this is in your subconscious mind, which means now you have, right? Now, if you can accept that and feel where that resonance of truth is within you, now you can start working those systems on these levels. And this is what we do. And this is what we do with the group work in Lightbody and the Healer Acceleration Lab. We're going to these levels and unraveling stuff. I mean, we just got done not that long ago unraveling the trauma drama of the Orion Wars to the point where they don't even exist anymore for many of us in our subconscious. Okay. So, and this is where you get people going into different timelines, because as you clean stuff up in the subconscious, you're cleaning stuff up that's, you're cleaning up the mechanisms that are creating things in your here and now. Okay. Only thing is, it's really difficult to let go of the need to be right. Okay. The need to be right is really what drives us to leak our energy out. The need to be right. All right. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we don't take action in the here and now. It's just that we are using a different barometer to measure when it's the right time to take action right now. Okay. And a dear sister was writing to me about the BLM movement, Now, the BLM movement, right? So people think it's about race. I know I'm white, and yeah, you can call me white privilege to be able to say that, but I'm not the only one that recognizes. There's many, many people of many different collectives and different cultures that consider themselves people of color that completely agree with this particular perception. Okay, they recognize that the injustice and all this stuff, the narrative is race, but really what it is, it's class. It's a class battle. Okay, because if you take this conflict out of the US and look at it in Africa, you know what? Africa is mostly people of color killing themselves off. Why? Because it's not about race now, because everybody's the same. It's about religion. It's about status. It's about the class of people. It's about who they are as a culture. Okay. You go to Ireland, where it's all a bunch of white people, they're killing each other because some people are orange Irish and other people are green Irish, right? It's about class. It's about culture. It's about religion. Okay. So this divide can be easily dumbed down to make it about race, because we're so eclectic in the US, but it's really about culture. It's about class. It's about, belief systems. Now, the suffering that someone has endured, and they were told they were endured because they were made to feel that they endured this because of the color of their skin, right? No one can change that story for them except for them. They are the only ones that can change that story for them. And many do. Many also don't. Okay. So the racism thing is a street that goes both ways. It's not a one-way street. And when we recognize that happens within cultures, within classes, between classes, when we recognize that pattern, that exact same pattern that happens in all those other stages, we wake up to that it's really about something else. It's not actually just race. There's something else going on. But the BLM movement has used those dramas and experiences that people have had and overlaid a story on it that's not the truth, and said, this is what is to blame. It's racism. It's this, it's that, rather than saying, wow, this is human ignorance. This is people treating people not as human beings. This is people treating people according to their stereotype, not actually, looking at them as like they're a human being, right? As soon as you take the conversation to that level, the dialogue changes very quickly. So this is a manipulation that's going on. It's not that the pain that these people on all sides of the fence have not endured. They have. It's real trauma. It's terrible atrocities. But the reason those atrocities happen is not the reason that we're told it is. We're told that it's, these people and that people, whatever, the KKK or whatever. I've had people on my own Facebook page accuse me of being a supporter of white supremacy, just because I didn't speak anything to BLM. I'm just not for the narrative that, the Democrats are going to save the day. It's like politics is politics. They're all lying. None of them have intentions of fulfilling what they want, or, what the people want. If they truly wanted to change would have already happened. They don't want things to change. They just give lip service to change. And that is why nothing ever changes. There's this wonderful, I think Morales was his name, President Morales in Bolivia. Many years ago, he was elected president. He fulfilled hasn't been educated past the 3rd grade. He fulfilled all of his campaign promises within the first 6 months of his presidency. Right. And he was on the David Letterman show. And at the time, Bush was president. And he was just like, please don't. He said that. But then he quickly ducked. He says, please don't include me in the axis of evil. I'm just being honest with how it worked out. So this is what people need to recognize, that it's not about the lip service. It's in the doing. If politicians truly want change and the whole group wants change, it'll change. It's because they say they want change and don't really want change. That's why the change does not happen. And that's why the system is broken. But remember, that process that they used to manipulate humanity did not start here. It started up here. Okay? So, all right. How to keep from being eaten alive. For one, recognize the zombies. The zombies are the ones that are so full of passion and prejudice or passion and righteousness that they don't care about how they behave or who they hurt. They don't care about anything else other than what their mental, emotional, locomotive is driving towards. They don't care. Logic cannot touch them. Being true and sincere, that will not touch them. Okay, they are quite literally, their willpower, their energy is quite literally being driven by a force that is not just of their own. It's a river, it's a consciousness stream that is so strong. They have just, the momentum takes them, and they don't have no compass inside, no anchor inside to actually recognize that they're being swept away. They're just in the boat being swept away. Those are the zombies. There are people who are waking up out of that, but there's a lot who are not. We cannot help them. If any of them want help, then the moment will come where we'll be able to show up for them if we're in the space to, if we're able to. But the fact is, zombies consume themselves. They consume everything around them until there's nothing left. Those people have to hit their rock bottom. Usually that rock bottom, it means either being diagnosed and dying, having a beloved dying, you know what I mean? It's usually something as complete as death that it gives them their wake-up call. It has to be that strong. It's not going to be some sincere words of truth from you. Sad but true. Now, those that have that, recognize they're in the boat, they want to get out of it, and they don't know how, those are the ones that, maybe you'll have an interaction with, and they'll be able to get something from that interaction. But remember, that's not you stepping into the 4D drama. That's you being in the truth of who you are and simply just being that. You're not pushing your ideas. You're not, you know what I mean? You're not going to bat for the team. You're just being how and who you are. Let me check in. I think there's a lot of things here that you guys are talking about. Let me go back to, all right. Scrolling. Oh, wow, there's lots up here. Okay. I'm getting to, hello, dear Nanette. Good to see you. Keith, nice to see you. He says, wow, I thought the Sasquatch gathering was canceled last year. I had no idea it was still on. Yes, it was held in secret because there was a lot of conflict going on about having it. So far, I think it's on for this year. But I don't know. We'll have to talk about that in another venue. All right. Soul Schooling says wholeness. Sorry, I'm late. Oh, hello. Thank you for the beautifully woven and sane explanation for the 4D challenge. It is surely a dance on a razor's edge. Yes, a razor's edge indeed. So this is Keith again. So the consciousness stream of zombies is already conflicting within them, for their own authenticity is at war with their programming. So when I butt in, they are simply unleashing. Yes, exactly. Yes. Now there's ones that also really believe that they're educated, or, it's because I believe in science, whatever. And the fact is there's scientists on all sides of the fence. So even making that kind of statement is your signal of, okay, this person can't hear anything than what they think they already know. You know what I mean? There's scientists that are on the side of, this is all a manipulation and people are being lied to. And, there's every side of the argument. There are educated, there's doctors, there's scientists, there's specialists, there's world leaders. They're there and not in agreement. And but what's happened is that the ones that are in dissent of the narrative that the powers that be want, they get censored out, so hardly anybody hears them. Only the ones that really want to hear them and can tune into the live streams before they get canceled or blocked, get that kind of information. So that sentence, because I believe in science, is like your cue of okay. Okay, this is potentially likely a zombie here that you're not going to be able to connect with or have contact with. Okay, arrogance is a real thing, and people who think that they're right and everybody else is wrong, they're gonna fall into that category. All right, Hodai says, true. Can't even have a conversation with long-term friends anymore. They think I'm batshit crazy and have no desire to expand. No judgment from me, but it's still a loss and sad. Yes, it is sad because now we're even more isolated and more lonely. But here's the thing, we need to put ourselves out more to other people that are new to our community and seek out those people to connect with. It's really important that we do not let ourselves collapse in isolation, because the more we seek out other people that we can resonate with and that, we agree at least about human standards of treating each other, that creates a collective resonance. And as you guys know, the more humans that connect over something and resonate over something, that exponentially increases the strength of that resonance. Okay, so don't let yourself collapse in isolation. Please seek out people who are like-minded, who are, who you can connect with and have conversations with, so you can keep that resonance happening, because that's a huge influencer here. And the thing is about this 4D field, that no matter what side of the fence you're on that you resonate with, that's giving contribution to certain conflicts. So if you are convinced that this person's right and that this person's wrong, and you have strong feelings about it, you are actually doing your part in maintaining that polarity. Okay. So now how we break through that is that we can see on both sides of the fence, they are having in their reality, this is the truth. And this one over here is having in their reality that this is the truth. There are real thoughts and the real feelings that person is invested in. Okay. So once you can truly inside yourself accept that, now you are no longer contributing into the divide, because it's not about who's right and who's wrong. You see what I mean? It's about that resonance of how you be. It's about how you be. All right. Soul School saying, is she saying the Pleiadians insert dark agendas? I'm trying to catch up here. I should probably catch the replay as well. Okay, so good, bad, right, or wrong. No, the Pleiadians, good, bad, right, or wrong. All right. Our star family is not perfect. There are beings on all sides of the fence that are stellar in their origins. The Pleiadians, there's dark and light with the Pleiadians. There's dark and light with the Sirians. There's dark and light with the Andromedans. Okay, so all these beings, you see, people assume because they're super high in consciousness that they are they're going to be benevolent automatically. That's not true, because once you get to these other levels, it's not about dark or light, right or wrong. It's about intent and control. Okay, it's about manifesting an intent. That's what it's about in these other levels. It's not about right or wrong. By you, what's right or wrong for us is our connection into those consciousness and our relationship to what their agendas are. Okay. So if you are here as a human in your relationship to the agenda of, say DNA expansion or whatever, okay, you may be on the receiving end of that intent, and that receiving end maybe is not something that you want, the who you are in the here and now want. Okay. So we need to be very discerning in these other levels, but it's hard for people to do that because of the beliefs and the thoughts, the programming that's the nesting dolls of programming that's being fed to humanity. If you can really get to that place where it's a living truth within you, where you understand and feel, sense, taste, know that you're an infinite being imbuing this biosuit, having this experience, then that gives you a leg up. when you're dealing with these other levels. So I'm not going to say all Pleiadians are good, all Pleiadians are bad, or this, that, or the other. It's about the intent and the agenda, right? They have an intent. They're taking action on that intent. They're doing their part in creating and influencing their nesting doll to that reality. So are the ones over here. So it's really about what your relationship is with these beings. Where I find myself a lot is I'm seeing beings that are in a control system intent. And when I look at what they're doing, they're actually fulfilling an intent on this other nesting doll level. So I get to where it happened here. When I get to the original intent, as it actually merges out of the oneness consciousness, then we can completely reinform that intent to something else. And when I say reinform, we're reinforming our personal relationship to that intent. Okay, that's what that's about. Unifying, not smashing and making wrong and battling. Because remember, the battle, that creates even more separation, that creates even more division, that creates even more drama, and it has a ripple effect, especially on these levels, has a massive ripple effect through these nesting dolls that we have here. All right. Problem, reaction, solution. Facebook user says, problem, reaction, solution, David, it's an old game. It works and is working very well now with vaccination. Yes. Yeah. It is and it isn't. What the censorship is not letting people see, that there's a lot of people, there's a lot of doctors and nurses and scientists, and there's a lot of people who don't want this. They don't want it because they're recognizing that it's turning humans into a GMO, a genetically modified organism. And the implications of that is completely unknown. And so it seems like everybody wants it, but there's a lot of people that don't, and they're only going to take it because they absolutely have to. They're going to acquiesce, and that's my beat on it in the collective. They're like here in Boulder County, it's extremely left wing, very, very strict conditions. Boulder is absolutely it's a whole nother world. I do my best not even go into that town anymore, but it's but even in this environment, there's a lot of people that are taking pause and they're just waiting to see, because they don't actually believe that it's safe. And they actually are aware that it's still technically in a clinical trial. They're experimenting on these people. Okay. It's not really an approved treatment yet. It's approved to be dispensed. It's approved to go into trial. Okay. So even this is people are waking up to the need to be right. How is this energetically different from the need for truth, accuracy, and authenticity? Because, I feel like my life is dependent on these, and to ignore them. All right. The need to be right is the only feelings that matter, only reality that matters is yours, right? When your interaction with others. So that's where the charge comes in. Energetically, the need for truth liberates, truth clears the air. Okay. And authenticity, that's you, your ego driver, which is important. We have to have an ego driver to navigate this reality. Okay. So the ego driver is not the bad guy here, but authenticity, this is when your ego driver is in harmonic alignment with the truth of who you are inside. Okay. That's being authentic. When you are battling yourself inside, your ego driver is inauthentic. That means you might think one thing, but you say another or behave another way. You create relationships, you create dynamics that are not in alignment with the truth of who you are. That's inauthenticity. Okay. So it's a dance here, because think about permaculture. Permaculture is having many different plants that work together that enhances the overall health of the entire plant collective. Think of yourself like this. How does this truth help here? How does it create expansion or connection or what, stuff like this? People who, if you've committed to telling the truth, being truthful all the time, people who don't want that, they'll avoid you like the plague. They're not going to want to be around you. Really, they're not going to want to be around you. That's just how it is. Okay. So if you're truly committed to something, the energy of that, people will pick up on that subconsciously and will react accordingly. So, and we can't force our truth onto people, because there's a lot of people that have come to this planet to experience the delusion. Then who are you to take away their soul experience? You know what I mean? Now, where you become empowered in that situation, because usually, you care because it's someone who's very close to you. You can actually have a conversation with their soul to soul, not their, not their person ego driver, but have a conversation in meditation in an altered state, soul to soul, and you'll get an understanding that this is what they came to do. This is what they came to be a part of. And just by having that kind of dialogue, because it's also energetic, you can become more at peace with how they're choosing to be, and then you're not invested, you're not leaking energy out to them. And they are not, you're not taking in their energy. You're not taking it personally, because you recognize that this is happening because of something else on another level. Okay. When we wake up to these other levels of who we are, it's very liberating, because you realize that a lot of this reality, what's going on, is a total joke, and who we really are is not who we think we are. And all those identities that we've cultivated throughout this life stream, throughout this particular life walk, is, you can let go of it, because you recognize who you are on a bigger level. When you look at yourself in the mirror, and you're looking into your eyes, and you can actually see the many, many faces that those eyes have been in, then you can really let go of those personal stories so much more easily, because you truly, on a resonance level, are in congruency with the truth that you're just an actor in a play right here. This is just one of a gazillion reiterations that you've played out. And then you can come to a place where, what is it that you truly want for this life on a soul level for to unfold? What does that path look like for you? You can ask those kinds of questions. And when you can, and that shedding the who you think you are gives you access to much more broader understandings of what's going on, and how the kinds of actions you can take in creating the reality that you want. 100% true. And it's manufacturing guilt, shame, power plays. Okay, this is a Facebook user saying this. Then Kevin would mean death, life of most hellish sort. I don't care about being right per se, but sometimes I have difficulty discerning a difference between being right and living authentically. Yeah. Well, in society, doesn't really reward people who want to be in their truth. That needs to be fuel in your own way. Did I miss a question here? Oh, no, I got it. Okay. This is really a game in a lot of ways, and we're waking up from an old paradigm into the new paradigm. In order for us to go forward into that new paradigm, those old constructs, they can't come with us. Just the highest truth from those old constructs can come with us into that new paradigm. And it's going to go as far as it needs to. If it means massive death toll, then that's going to be what it is. You know what I mean? If it's going to be, people warring to the point of destroying themselves and the planet, that's what it's going to be. Now, it doesn't have to be that, but, if the powers that be, the people in the zombie suits, if they want that to be so, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Cleaning things up on these soul level stuff, though, affects the whole collective. So a soul journey that has a particular trajectory can be completely changed by unraveling an entanglement that has perceived to be happen in another lifetime in the past, or far off in another galaxy somewhere. So we've experienced very significant wounding patterns that happened between a person and an individual. All the individuals were impacted by that pattern, by that shutting off. And the example in my mind that we had was, closing people off from their spirit, making them feel like they were forsaken by God, and then reinforcing it with trauma. So in the unraveling of that, because it was this individual person that we're doing the unraveling for, but in the unraveling of that, the entire collective that participated in that drama got liberated from that. They got liberated from that deep entanglement of being forsaken by God. They got their energy, life force energy got lifted from that and returned back into the light, where it can now become, get clarified, cleaned up, and become part of their soul's journey in the here and now. So the reason why you go into these levels is personal, but the impact is collective. Okay, has a collective impact. This is so important to recognize. And then, because then you'll realize that how it affects the bigger whole. Your own healing has a ripple effect that goes through many, many beings, many different experiences and agendas. All right. Joe says, I believe the need to be right has, wait a minute. Sorry, I clicked that wrong. I believe the need to be right has the underpinning the need to be enough as an expression of the 8D I am. I'm thinking that if we realize our sovereignty, the need to be right. Okay. Right. So as I said, the patterns that are expressed here in that 4D didn't start here. It starts out here somewhere. Okay. The kinds of constructs that are sourced in 4D is stuff like corporations, they are imagined by a person. There's paperwork that gets filed that creates the legal structure, and then you start investing life force energy into it. It doesn't have real life force energy of its own, but it has a very significant impact in the here now reality as far as funds and interacting with the legal system, the control systems, and stuff like this. So it's really interesting situation when you look at these pieces and you track them back to where they began. The core wound for humanity is forsakenness. Okay, that whole "I'm not enough" thing. This is a core wound. That means it's something that started off over here somewhere, or even over here somewhere before you even came through the Milky Way galaxy, and that tone became part of the creation process of these nesting dolls of your here and now moment. But it's important to be there because you've tracked the energy there, okay, versus just the idea that because that resonates, it connects. You don't know until you're actually unraveling the energy, the details. And this is the gift. This is the gift that comes with tracking into energy. You can let go of any ideas about how things are, and you can be a fresh, innocent mind experiencing the data set, so it can take you to some place in the unknown. Okay. A lot of stuff that we have going on is a reiteration, but because of the different belief systems that's been given to us in these nesting dolls, our efforts get sidetracked into other directions that is not in the unknown. We stay in the realm of what's already known. When we stay in the realm that's already known, then, we're not learning, we're not getting anywhere new. It's when we can actually follow the energy into the unknown and be with it until it takes us where it needs to take us. And then we completely become reinformed on another level by following this energy and allowing it to inform us from an unknown place, from the unknown. So we're actually bringing things from the unknown into the known through our perception and experience. That's the golden piece right there. Okay. All right. Nothing changes in America. I am politics, as both sides are funded and controlled by the same. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. All right. Wait a minute. I think I scrolled past something. All right. I find so much support from you in this group every week. It's important to spend time with you all, especially now. Oh, thank you, darling. I think a lot of people are feeling you on that. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the group. Just charging in. All right. I hope you all the best. All right. Thank you, guys. So many are controlled by their anger and don't want change. They want to fight. I can't play in that. Yeah. And all right. So with these close relationships, right? You can do something. I call it. It's the truth sandwich. And this is how it goes. And you guys can experiment with it. If there's relationships that you truly don't want to go away, but the person is supercharged into a narrative that you can't resonate with, this is how you do it. You take a statement that acknowledges their pain, acknowledges their belief, that completely validates what it is that they're believing, sensing, feeling. And it's, as close to the truth as you could possibly word. That you start there. And then you slip in the truth, how you see it. And then you follow up with another validating statement to their belief systems and their truth that they think is absolutely so. And then you serve it to them like a sandwich. Okay. And when you do that, it's like It's a connective, acknowledging, validating statement followed by the truth that could be extremely triggering, followed by another validating statement. They are going to, I mean, assuming that they have, principles of being a good human being, which chances are, if they're good friends of yours, they do have that, they're just in this turmoil, then they're going to be more accepting of whatever it is you have to say. Okay. Now, maybe they'll come back at you with the same strategy, right? But the right or wrong isn't important. What's important is the connection and the desire to be in connection. It's the desire to remain friends. It's, it's like, darling, I love you so much. You're so impactful in my life, and ... right? So that works with people when their principles really are about being a good human being, but you just can't agree with these certain narratives. You know what I mean? So the more that happens, I think the easier it'll be. And then they'll also recognize, okay, I'm not going to talk about A, B, and C when I'm with this person, because I don't want A, B, and C to get in the way of the love I have for them in our friendship. Okay. So that's growing up in relationship. That is using that friendship where you guys are divided. You're using that friendship to grow yourselves and your character, to grow in the strength of your heart space and your love, your ability to have love and compassion for people who are diverse and different from you. Okay. All right. Then we have so many. Kevin says zombies, or not Kevin, sorry. Keith says zombies sound an awful like addicts. They are outrage addicts. That's exactly what it is, because outrage, this is why the control system works so well. Outrage has a dopamine response, has a chemical response within the brain, and people become addicted to it. They're addicted to the outrage, and they're not resourcing themselves with the stuff that's wholesome, that feeds their soul, feeds their heart, feeds their love, because that also can be addictive, right? But they're not exposed to this as much as they are to that. So they're going to gravitate towards that validation, that chemical dependency on the outrage. Outrage, anger, fight. Very true. All right. No right or wrong, ? How do we look at actual facts? How do we look at children being trafficked and sodomized? That's a great question, right? No right or wrong. All right. So it's atrocious. It's atrocious on this level. It's atrocious for any human, anybody in a biosuit to go through that. It's atrocious for all the beings that are drinking or are being affected by the ripple effect of acts like that. Okay, because a lot of it's done in dark places and in underground in circles. So the telluric realm suffers, the 3D realm suffers, the 4D realm suffers. Okay, and that dynamic is happening in these nesting dolls, but these outer nesting dolls are holding some kind of pattern that's allowing that to happen. Usually it's because on a soul level, there's an entanglement going on, and they're trying to set it straight. Okay. As in the soul that's in the child body and the soul that's in the perpetrator body, they're trying to work something out. And it's awful the way it's manifesting here and the way it impacts the 3D, 4D. But until it gets addressed up here, it's a cycle that's going to keep going until it ends somewhere. Something has to end it. And it could be waking up here. It could be the total annihilation of the soul. Now there's no longer any need to keep manifesting the contracts. That could be something like that. But I'm finding that when we're working in these other levels here, like unraveling the trauma dramas of other star systems and stuff, a lot of the soul groups that were considered soul group races, they're waking up out of that agenda and completely redefining their soul path from these other unravelings that are going on. So liberation is happening. It's just that death is not the end. Death is not what we think it is. Okay, we're these infinite beings in this body. Now we have these offshoots that come, and those offshoots can, be annihilated, be drained to the point of just being dust. But even in that form of dust, you still come back to the all that is again. It's just a much longer cycle. So even in that way, you don't become completely lost. So the good, bad, right, or wrong, it's, if you look at it as a principle way to navigate your life of bringing wholeness and beauty by bringing wholeness and beauty of these other realms into our 3D reality. Okay, if you use it as a tool for that sort of thing, it's a beautiful thing. This 4D field was meant to be something that helps us bring beauty into this world. That's our agreement with the Pachamama, to weave our dream within her dream. It's just that there's these other pieces here that we need to work out. These other power over dynamics that started really far out there that are having their ripple effect here. I hope that answers that question for you. It's not that it's not terrible. It's not that it's not painful. It's that there's more to the picture than just that. Okay. Dear Joanne says, 100,000 plus members, mostly medical professionals of the World Freedom Alliance, who are speaking out for personal sovereignty and the reality of what the CNV are do. Yes. This is so true. Thank you. Yes, this is what I mean. There are people who are standing up and speaking out and doing what they can. There's an alliance here in the US of doctors. All right. So something that happened, I think, can't remember the doctor's name. He's also a senator. He put out this tweet that the CDC was discouraging, or no, the AMA was put out a memo to all the doctors across the country, discouraging them from using any therapies, outpatient therapies, as in instructing them, do not prescribe anything to your patients until they need to be hospitalized. Okay. Now this doctor, he was absolutely astounded by that. And he's like, by the time they're hospitalized, for a lot of people, it's too late. Why wait till then? Why not do things now while they don't need to be admitted into a hospital? So he got a lot of backlash for that, but there's a huge coalition of doctors that heard that message, and they're making themselves available. I think it's by donation, where you can have a teleconference, a telesession, or whatever they're calling that nowadays, with a doctor, so they can assess you and then prescribe you the therapies that they know that will best fit your situation. So there are things happening. It's just, it's not well known because of the censorship. So we are uniting. It's just right now it looks more like an underground movement. You know what I mean? And wherever you are in the camp of this whole thing, doesn't matter. It's really about, is it okay for people to do? Is it okay with you that people do what they feel is important to do to help others? Okay. That's the main baseline you just got to recognize, and how they do it and what they do is going to change drastically according to their different belief systems. But the core value is that they care about humanity and they want to help in any way, in the ways that they can. Okay. We can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. So now, I don't need to criticize how they execute it, because I truly understand that value that they're expressing and taking action on is a true human core value. That's true humanity right there. Okay. So even the ones that want to give everybody the vaccine, they're doing this because they truly feel that that's good for the humans. That's good. That's them doing service. Now, the ones that are doing it and don't feel that that's truly serving humanity, those are the ones that we need to check on, right? Because they are now acting against the truth that they know to be so. All right. Keith says, sorry, I didn't get it about the difference between authenticity and rightness. I feel like everyone is contradictory and hypocritical to some extent, and those I trust are those who admit it. Yeah, we do the best we can. All right, so righteousness. Righteousness is when I know the way and only I know the way, and you're wrong, and it doesn't matter what you think or feel or what your experience is, because I'm righteous. God gave me the right to tell you. That's rightness. Or I believe in science. I'm an educated person. Everything that this is everything that this is saying is truly how it is. And you are stupid if you don't agree, right? That's rightness. Authenticity is when you can say, I'm educated in this field. I feel like I have something to offer. This is the data that gives me the impression that A, B, and C is true. That's authenticity. Okay. Righteousness is forcing yourself, forcing your opinion, forcing your way onto another person that doesn't agree or isn't in resonance with that. Okay. Versus authenticity is simply stating what you think and feel are facts and say, I believe these are true. and this is what I think about it. Okay, that's authenticity. Now, everybody's opinions are different. We have so many different formulas in our nesting dolls that create these things for us, right? So when we're in our humanity, we can accept that these people over here in this camp really believe that this is right and this is true, and these people over here in this camp is right and this is true. Okay, our humanity is respecting them both for having the right to think and feel how they want to feel. Okay. Now, the problem is when people start imposing on other groups for their thoughts and their feelings, okay? Just like with what we're talking about with the whole BLM thing, it's like people think it's about one thing, but really it's about another thing. It's arrogance and ignorance and rightness of this group to push down this other group because they're dangerous, they're wrong, or whatever. That's imposing. That's the battle, taking the internal battle to the external and oppressing certain groups of people. So this is, it's all very convoluted and it's highly emotionally charged. So there's a lot of things to unravel with all this. But when you're truly in your authenticity, you can recognize the core, what you can see in the chaos, the core values that these people are expressing. And you can actually see how some of those core values actually resonate with your core values. And now you can come to it in a different place. You're not in the consciousness stream of the conflict, the blame, and the hate, and the anger, and the righteousness. You are in recognition that these human beings are good human beings, and they are acting on the best. They're acting on the information the best that they can. Right now, the charge is not the same, and you may choose to be like, I don't want involved with that mess, right? Or you may choose, there's certain people that maybe you can make contact with. Okay, that's the difference. The actions and the observations are so much different than being swept away in the consciousness stream and in that conflict. Oh yeah, thank you, Nancy. I'm going to totally show that. Nancy actually is sharing the website of those doctors that I'm talking about that are offering therapies, offering to meet with people and prescribe them therapies that help them. Okay. All right. So the other thing, Keith, is it's really about your ego driver. How harmonious is it with your truth? If your ego driver is in alignment with the truth of who you are, that ego driver is going to take actions that are in alignment with the truth of who you are. It's not about the truth and other people don't. It's that you are an honoring of the truth of who you are, and in that you desire to honor, to seek, see, and honor the truth in others of who they are. If their ego drivers are not in alignment with the truth of who they are, then it's not going to be a graceful thing. It's going to be in conflict because their ego drivers are trained to work against them. They're trained to hide who they are. They're trained to make themselves wrong. Okay. So in that case, you're not going to have much success getting past the ego driver. And this is why it's important for us to seek out people that we resonate with and be in community with, so we can still have our sense of connection and then in that connection, we can be more accepting of people who are different than us, even those who have those ego drivers that are hostile. All right, Facebook user says, wonderful to hear that groups risking it all, like these alliances of doctors to serve humanity. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. So we're here. Hold on a second. Oh, righteousness condemns others and authenticity allows others to, yes, others, but stands for itself. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Keith, for keep pushing me to refine that like that. All right. Joanne also has put a comment in here of listing specific doctors. So if you guys, I'm not going to post on the thing because it's a long list, but if you guys are in the Rise of the Multidimensional Human group, you can have access to that list that she's putting in there. So, but do know, there's algorithms put in place to censor stuff. Okay. So when we are, so in the Rise group, I do encourage people, if there is a fact checker thing going on a post that you want to post, I'm going to ask you, please don't post it. And the reason why is because our group gets dropped off the list of groups. And even if you do a specific search for our group, Unless you have the actual link to access it, you won't be able to find it. Okay, they actually hide the group in the algorithms so people can't access it. And it's unfortunate, but that's what we're facing right now. I actually, there was a point in time where we had some members that were posting a lot of content that was controversial and was considered false information by Facebook, which we know that the fact checker thing is a total scam. But anyway, and I couldn't find my own group that I was the administrator of. They buried it so deep. So I do encourage you guys, do share truth amongst each other, and you guys can do messaging and stuff like this. But if there's anything that you want to post in our group that's doing that fact check thing, I'm going to ask you not to post it. Okay. If you can private message it, you can go to our group on Telegram. We're on Telegram now, right? It's called Multidimensional Human. You can post it in there. So there are alternatives. And Facebook, I hate to feed more into it because it is, turned into what it is. But at the same time, there's a community here that we've invested a lot of energy in. And I don't want to abandon our community because you guys are awesome. You guys are wonderful people. And so I am exploring these other alternatives where there's platforms where we can share that kind of information and not get a backlash from the tech industry, the tech people from that. So do keep that in mind. So if you're on Telegram, it's Multidimensional Human. That's what I called the group in Telegram. All right. So dear Facebook user, okay. Joanne says she just deleted the list of doctors. Okay. Yeah. So if anybody wants that, in the group, there's Joanne in our group. You can maybe hit her up with a private message or something and she can share that information. Or like I said, you can put it in the Telegram app, in the Telegram platform that we have. And that way people can still access it and get the word out. All right. Dear Facebook user says, thank you for your answer concerning no right or wrong. The reframing of child trafficking, for example, from a higher perspective sees that soul energy entanglement with the predator victim needs this energetic experience in 3D to work this out. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Right. And we go back and forth in that dance. So we're a predator in one life and we become a victim of the same kind of violence, the same kind of thing, so where they are at in the cycle, who knows, but it is a cycle that needs to get worked out, I find that there's a lot of people in the energy medicine work that we do when we have someone in their life stream, in this particular life stream, say they're experiencing a lot of abuse and a lot of oppression. I find that the thing that affects their here and now experience the most is going into the Akasha and Lightbody and picking out all of the times when they were the perpetrator of that exact offense. Once I unravel that, wow, they have a very big shift in their everyday experience of that dynamic. So just putting that out there for you guys, especially for those of you that work with Akashic Records. Don't always look for where they're victims. Go into the perpetrator aspect too, because it's a cycle that feeds itself and it just keeps going. And this is why the powers that be implanted the idea about karma, which is not really how things work anymore in the new paradigm, but that planting the seed of karma keeps people in that loop. They say, and when you really believe something on this level, and when you die, you have to go through that belief again, and you can take it with you and have it imprint on your Akasha, that kind of belief. So it's very incepitous, these sorts of things. All right. All right. And Keith says, I'm wrapping up, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I know I totally went over. Keith says, very interesting times. If we want to stay on social media, it'd be better to speak in code and metaphorically rather than literally. And plus I'll get people to research for themselves. It'll get people to research for themselves. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true. And the millennials are much better at that. Us old folk, it takes us a second to figure out that people are talking code, and then we got to figure out what the code's all about. But yeah, the more I interact with the younger generations, I'm recognizing the different things that they say in code. And one of the most genius ones was people were like, they're talking about a Wendigo. Is this Wendigo? What's this real story with this Wendigo? And really what they were talking about is the well, I don't want to break the code for you, but they're talking about a certain person in a political position. and it was just fascinating. It was like I had to look up first what Wendigo meant, and then I had to put the pieces together on what they were talking about before I can even formulate any kind of response, And that is true. It does force people to do research and to look more deeply and to figure out what's going on. But there's, like I said, there's those other platforms, and do check them out, because we need to get information out. If like that list of doctors, if that saves somebody, if someone calls, has their aunt, their aunt gets sick or whatever, and they have their aunt call, and she gets a therapy that helps her, why not? If it helps somebody, why not, right? So, all right, guys. So with that said, hopefully I got to each of those points and you guys can see the more liberated perspective when you're engaging in there. It's, this is the whole reason why I do this, is to help you guys navigate in a more empowered way, in a way where you don't lose energy to these control systems, and now have more life force energy to make the life that you want, to focus your creative energies into creating the things that you want. Okay. So hopefully I was successful in that today. I will be here next week. And I think I'm going to change up the format a bit for then. And I'll let you guys know how that comes forward. So thank you for joining me. I love you guys. I'm so grateful for you to be here in this conversation. We shall see you next time. Bye. Bye, darlings.